agency.
In New York, the UN General Assembly continues, along with more efforts to smooth out the U.S.'s relationship with France and Europe.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken touting the U.S.'s relationship with the EU.
A lot to talk about the work we're doing together, quite literally around the world, to include, of course, Afghanistan and the Indo-Pacific, in Europe, and beyond.
A senior State Department official telling reporters that Blinken and his French counterpart are expected to meet on Thursday.
ABC's Inez de la Cuetera reporting at the Foreign Desk. You're listening to ABC News.
My grand opening is tomorrow. Can I get custom posters printed today?
It's possible with Staples Connect.
I need to promote my new curbside pickup service.
Also possible. Staples Connect can help your business grow with custom printed sales and marketing materials. Now get 20% off signs, banners, or posters when you spend $75 or more. Explore what's new at your local Staples. Staples Connect, the working and learning store. Ends 10/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/signage for details.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with a booming voice that emphasizes all the main points. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
That part is super important.
Here's one with a booming voice.
I'm emphasizing everything.
Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance.
Like a page with every word highlighted.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Britain's Prime Minister throwing down a gauntlet to the world. Speaking at the United Nations, ABC's Tom Rivers has more.
In just 6 weeks, the world will descend upon Glasgow, Scotland for the Global Climate Conference. But the international community remains divided, prompting this from Boris Johnson.
We must come together in a collective coming of age. We must show that we have the maturity and wisdom to act.
In short, he said we must grow up and tackle climate change. As part of that theme, he's calling on governments to establish tougher emissions-cutting targets, pledge more money to help poorer countries clean up their economies. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
Here in the U.S., the EPA today is expected to introduce new rules to cut the use of hydrofluorocarbons used in things like air conditioners and refrigerators. Officials say it could help cut greenhouse gas emissions by 4.5 billion metric tons by the year 2050. And a 3,500-year tablet, originally believed to be from the library of an ancient Middle Eastern king, is headed back to Iraq, officials say, after its discovery in 1853. What's known as the Gilgamesh Dream Tablet was illegally imported into the U.S. and sold to Hobby Lobby, which put that tablet in its Museum of the Bible. After it was seized by federal investigators 2 years ago, the tablet will be officially handed back to Iraqi officials today. This is ABC News.
The pandemic's reminded us we live in a sea of airborne germs that can assault us with every breath. Your nose is the body's first line of defense by helping filter out allergens, bacteria, and viruses before they reach your lungs. So how do you clean your nose? Navage uses powered suction to flush out mucus and germs that cause congestion, or worse, can make you sick. Over 2 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier without drugs. Go to Navage.com or find Navage at Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is ONN. On the Ohio News Network, I'm Daniel Barnett. A new proposal by Republican lawmakers in Ohio looks to prohibit mask, vaccine, and testing mandates pretty much everywhere in the state except for hospitals or healthcare facilities. Lindsay Mills with affiliate station WBNS-TV in Columbus has more.
Under proposed House Bill 425, health mandates would be prohibited in all different types of businesses, public and private schools, and any type of state agency. According to the language of the bill, it would prohibit health mandates like wearing masks, requiring a vaccine or COVID-19 testing. Some fear this will tie even more hands from making decisions, as we've seen with SB 22, which now allows the General Assembly to rescind any health mandate by Ohio's executive branch. Outside the State House, Lindsay Mills.
And should all school-age children wear masks in class? Yolanda Harris says there's a new study regarding the subject.
There's been a lot of discussion in school board meetings about masks. There's a new Ohio study that shows their effectiveness. Researchers from the University of Cincinnati looked at COVID-19 cases in 7 Cincinnati area schools. The study found that the rate of students getting COVID was 78% higher in partially masked schools. It also showed that the rate of students being quarantined was 60% higher in the partially masked schools as well. I'm Yolanda Harris.
And I'm Daniel Barnett on the Ohio News Network.
Live and local conversation for the Ohio Valley continues shortly, here on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Prepare your lawn for winter dormancy with Menard's premium fall lawn food. It's formulated to provide the needed nutrients to help ensure a healthy lawn come springtime. A 17-pound bag covering up to 5,000 square feet is only $9.99 after sale price and 11% rebate. Get 11% off everything now at Menard's. Good through September 25th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Introducing our new redesigned 7 News app. Our new app features a sleek, modern design, an easy-to-navigate home screen with quick access to local news content, and a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier, and with one tap, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video. To get the new WTRF 7 News app, just update the latest version or download the WTRF 7 News app in your Apple or Google Play Store by searching WTRF.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey! Hey, buddy! Yeah? You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it! Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go. 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure. I mean, you being a mountain climber.
One.
Nachos! You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yup.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
From the Watchdog, here is your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Partly sunny with a stray sprinkle possible in the afternoon, high of 61. Tonight, a slight chance of showers, then becoming partly cloudy, low of 50. And for your football Friday, sunny with a high of 70. And that's your local weather forecast from the Watchdog.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
You're early.
Roger that.
It's Thursday.
Why even call it Thursday? Problem? We have pizza on Thursday.
Places, please. Quiet down. Here is a complete disc jockey show with all the modern pace of today's exciting radio.
Good morning. Let's get started.
Seriously. Let's go.
It's showtime.
News, information, conversation, controversy, and fun. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
52 degrees, cloudy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 54, cloudy at my home studios here in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. And 54 is cloudy at the Robinson Oliver Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Not going to be a real warm day today. We're looking for a high of 60. Boy, we are definitely in fall, that's for sure. Cloudy throughout the day. A stray sprinkle is possible later this morning and into the afternoon. We'll have more details coming up from, I have to change my standard here. We have more details coming up from Aaron Myler today, who joins us this morning as our newest member of the morning team on a regular basis. meteorologist morning extraordinaire from the Big Seven, WTRF TV, as our old friend, former meteorologist in the morning, Zach Petty, moves on to the chief meteorologist position. He's the chief, Biff. When we see him, do we have to call him chief now?
I think we have to.
I mean, it's good morning, Chief. How are you, Chief?
Chief
Let's
Zach.
say that, well, I would Channel 7, let's say, Chief Zach, good morning, sir. Good morning, Chief Zach. I don't know what the protocol is. I'll have to find out because he's now the chief. He's the chief meteorologist. Holy mackerel. Aaron Myler is, well, over there they call it Stuck with Monroe. That's the way they call it, the Big Seven is. Aaron, the good news is Zach is moving up to being the chief, and you're going to be a full-time weather guy now. Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you. Bad news is you're stuck with Monroe. And that's the way it's going to be. So he'll be by a little bit later on this morning. I need my first sip of coffee, Biff. I had some problems here. Some of you may tell there's a little different sound this morning. And it's because I had a little technical problems here at the home studio. So I didn't have a chance to get any coffee at all. So just one moment, please. Well, talk among yourself. Biff, you can share some info or something. I need to get some coffee in my system here.
Yeah, you go ahead and get the coffee in you.
Usually about half a cup done before I get to this part of the show. All right, what's coming up today? The double fatality in Belmont County is now being called a double homicide. The victims are a local restaurant owner and his wife. We're going to talk about what we know about that story. It's one that everybody in town is buzzing about. Still not a lot of info being released, but some is out there. We'll talk about it. More than a dozen arrests after an investigation into a downtown Wheeling hotel. Police Chief Sean Swartzberger is going to be with us to detail that month-long operation, how it got started, what they did, and what they found when they were doing some investigation at the Night's Inn. Our political analyst, Matt Robeson, is by. He hasn't been with us for a while. He and I are going to talk about how the D.C. Dems are dealing with Joe Manchin, what the effect of the California recall vote was and will be in Democratic politics across the country, and also some reaction to Bob Woodward's new book about the last days of Trump. So we'll be talking about all of that with Matt coming up later on. The current 007 says a woman should never play the role of 007. My first blush thought was, boy, that's sexist. And then I read what he actually had to say, and I thought, he has a point. And we'll get to that and have a little bit of fun with that, talking about it, see if you agree or disagree. And you're welcome to share your thoughts with us on that or anything else at 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, the Watchdog Radio Network text line, or the CityNet hotline, which is 304-232-8255. There are a couple of issues pending in West Virginia that I want to take some time to talk about. We'll talk a little bit more about Governor Justice's withdrawal from the coaching position. And you knew it was going to make it eventually, but New York Times picks up on it. New York Times has a story about how the governor, who's got the worst COVID rate in the state, is fighting to coach boys basketball. And so we're now making national headlines. We were making national headlines in the Times and on the major national news networks early on. We're doing a good job in getting vaccinated and so on. And now we're in the Times because JJ wants to be a coach. Of course, he's withdrawn from that. So we'll talk about that. And by the way, we're not as good vaccination as we thought either. Apparently, the vaccination rate in West Virginia is lower than had previously been thought. There were some miscounting of numbers being done. A lot of finger pointing, I think, going on here. According to one story, I think it was the Metro News story, General Hoyer, Jim Hoyer, the kind of coordinating all this stuff, he walked out of the press conference yesterday. The governor said, I think he's made it. So we'll talk about all of that. And our buddy Brad McElhinney coming in to help us chat about that this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Brad there yet? Is Brad there, Brad?
Yes, he is.
All right, let me go from one Brad to another. Brad McElhinney is here from West Virginia Metro News. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Howard. Not surprisingly, I'm a little late because we were talking about breakfast. I was proposing that maybe a drone drop off some breakfast. Maybe some sausage or some bacon just falling from the sky.
A drone drop-off. Bippy, that's a great idea. What do you think about that?
I told Brad, I said, if it happens, I'm going to get video of that.
I can see it happen. I can see a drone drop-off there at the Robinson Honor Group Studios. You just run out, and there it'll be, ready and waiting for you. I like that. Drone drop-offs. That might be enough to entice me to come back into the office again.
Well, the thing about the drone is, I don't see why it couldn't just fly above your residence and give you what you need. Maybe some
I guess
breakfast
that's true.
burritos.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I think dropping smoothies from the sky, though, is not a great idea.
Might be a bit of a mess.
But, yeah, unless it's in a very well-sealed container. I think that's a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you're right. The burritos or a breakfast sandwich. I'm thinking, I always like sausage, gravy, and biscuits, but they could be a bit of a mess, too.
Yeah.
they're
But I think
in the
if they're packaged correctly.
Yeah, but boy, if that package breaks and I don't get out there in time, the next thing you know, the cats will be there.
Oh,
the
yeah,
neighborhood
good point.
cats, Yeah, so I have to be careful about that. All right, you're always thinking, Brad. You're always thinking. Always concerned about Biff and his food, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, put my ear to the ground and think of some breakfast options for him so he can make it through the day.
Oh, well, he needs. Listen, he works long, hard hours. He needs sustenance. It's a grown boy.
Exactly. Got to keep the motor running.
Growing man. Speaking of grown men, the grown man that is our governor, Governor Justice. Apparently, I want to get more importantly, I want to get to the vaccination story, but let's talk about the coach story because it's the interesting one. He has now given up on being the boys' basketball coach at Greenbrier East, apparently. But, man, he couldn't go out the door without slamming the people behind him, could he?
He clearly wanted the last word, and, the letter that he wrote has been published in a variety of places now. We've got it at Metro News, and I think the Gazette Mail published the letter in its entirety, maybe as a link. But it's worth a read just for a journey into Jim Justice's mind. I think it's probably for the best that this has ended because basketball season is upon us, and those young student athletes at Greenbrier East High School need a coach.
Yeah.
And possibly this grievance issue could have gone on for weeks. They've been without a coach and with uncertainty now since the spring. So Governor Justice has said, look, I'm not going to go any further. And that seems like the right decision to me. But he certainly had to get his last say out there and extolled the virtues of his coaching record. And, he's got a lot to be proud of as a coach. But, boy, the tone was, he called the local board vile, said he doesn't want to spend his time responding to hate. And it's just, again, feels like cognitive dissonance when he is someone with an enormous business empire and has now twice been elected as governor. And the main thing on his plate 1, plate 2, and plate 3 ought to be the COVID-19 pandemic right now. But, there he is using those words, vile and hate, talking about a basketball coaching position. It makes the mind real, Howard.
Well, it gives you a sense of where his priorities seem to be. I mean, he has withdrawn, so that's the good news. But, I mean, clearly this basketball thing is eating away at him, and that's I think that tells you something about the character of Jim Justice, that that's what's important to him. Now, before I get any texts or calls or complaints, I'm not implying that Governor Justice doesn't care about kids. I think he does. I'm sure he does many good things for kids that we don't even know about. I'm sure he loves the kids that he coaches. I don't mean any disrespect that way, but for a man who's the governor of the state and head of, as you point out, once upon a time, $1 billion empire, to be so focused on wanting to coach, part-time coach, basketball is just a little bit weird. And, Brad, the New York Times took note of that this week, too.
Yes, that was Campbell Robertson, a national reporter for the New York Times who covers this region of the country, and he's not unfamiliar with the state. He was here for the teacher strike a few years ago, and now has revisited the governor and this basketball issue. But the timing was a little difficult because I think what I read into it is he got started on this story, and while he was working on it, it resolved itself with this letter from the governor that was released this week saying, well, I'm not taking part anymore. But it may not tell you anything you don't already know, but it's a good read just to see how it's presented from a national perspective. Like, what would someone in another state think about what's happening in West Virginia with our governor's obsession coaching high school basketball? And it's really vibrant writing also. I like to read a good yarn, and Campbell did that. So it's if you got a New York Times subscription, or if you haven't blown through your however many reads you get, it's a good one to check in on.
Yeah, I posted it. I know you posted it on Twitter. I posted it on my Facebook page. Folks want to try to read it, as you say. If you have a subscription, I do. Or if you usually get 4 a month or something, free reads of New York Times articles. So you could give that a try. But you're right. It really, look, it's one person's perspective. I'll quickly say that. But it gives you a sense of how some people outside the state may view this basketball incident and, in general, the governor's actions. I mean, the article takes note of the fact that the Governor Justice is, and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not quoting, but is prone to, I think he said, blow by rules and regulations and do things his own way, which is certainly something we've come to see here. So the New York Times now giving the rest of the country a look at what's happening. It's a shame. I mean, we were on the New York Times and ABC and CBS and all these things for being best in the nation for a while with our COVID activities, and now we're there because the governor wants to coach basketball. Oh, well.
Yeah, I will say that there could be greater scandals with your governor, and maybe we should be thankful for that. But it's an interesting thing to get national attention for, your governor's desire, your overwhelming desire to coach high school basketball.
Yeah, it's a point well taken. We did have Arch Moore. I mean, let's be honest about it, and others. All right. Let's get to COVID and let's get to our current situation. First of all, there is some good news. I believe statewide we're starting to see cases decrease a little bit. Is that right, Brad?
That is right, and that assessment was made coming out of the weekend, and West Virginia was down from Friday to Monday down about 10,000 active cases. And my view was, well, let's take that with a grain of salt and just see how it goes, because I often think, those weekend numbers are suppressed. Let's wait till we get a realistic view. And that trend has continued. West Virginia was at, I think, 27,000 cases on Friday, and now continues to be down. Honestly, I can't remember the most recent numbers, but by thousands of cases down. Now, the flip side of that is our health leaders, Dr. Marsh from WVU and former General Hoyer. I guess you're always a general. Is it like being president? Are you always a general?
I would assume so, yes.
They have said, what they would anticipate. The overall case numbers are going to go down, but unfortunately, there's going to be a lag where hospitalizations and deaths will continue to rise and then probably plateau before finally falling a few to a couple of weeks from now. And that is what appears to be happening. Hospitalizations were up above 1,000 yesterday, having been in the 900 range prior to that. So the good news is overall cases coming down. The sad and alarming news is hospitalizations still going up, and boy, it's right on the 1,000 mark for hospitalizations. That's amazing. And then, if you're in the hospital, that means it's a serious case, and one of the possibilities is you could die, and the deaths continue as well.
Unfortunately, we thought we saw the light at the end of the tunnel. So part of me says, well, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be a tough tunnel to get through, but there's light at the end. But we thought we saw that back in, I guess, June or so too, and then the COVID began to rage. So I'm I don't know what the word I want to use is. Cynical? That's not quite the right word. I don't get my hopes up too much that we've got this thing turned around until I see it all the way turned around. And of course, as the governor says over and over and over again at all of his press conferences, the only answer is the vaccination. We got to get you vaccinated. If you get vaccinated, then you'll be fine. And Brad, we're learning apparently we aren't as well vaccinated as we thought we were, which is an interesting story.
Yeah, you watch these press conferences, and they are sometimes a barrage of information. And the upside of the governor's folksy way of talking is he's folksy. The downside is sometimes
you can't understand it.
I'm having trouble understanding that. So fortunately, General Hoyer got on the phone with me after and helped me a little bit, my little brain comprehend. And I guess what has happened is a problem with the federal pharmacy vaccination program and the counting through that specific aspect. So if you have gone to one of the pharmacies, Walmart or Walgreens or CVS, that works through the federal government, somehow what they're supposed to do is clean up those numbers and remove duplications, or if people have come across the river from Ohio, which could happen in your neck of the woods, they're supposed to be removed from West Virginia's overall numbers. So they're supposed to be cleaned up, and apparently they were not cleaned up adequately for a period of months in West Virginia, and this is finally getting straightened out. But what General Hoyer says is he has looked at the number of West Virginians who have gotten one dose, thinking, well, that gets you in the door, and there's a good chance that we'll move you on to getting your second dose, to being fully vaccinated. And that number really plunged. It had been presented as 74% of vaccine-eligible West Virginians.
Which is not enough, but still pretty good. 74% is pretty good.
Yeah, and what Hoyer told me is he and Marsh have been setting as a sort of mental goal that they've said out loud sometimes, getting 80% of West Virginians to that mark, because, that seems like maybe at that point you're in the zone of being a lot better. And 74%, which is where they thought they were, to 80% is not that big a leap. Well, here we've taken a fall back. We've taken a 5-yard penalty. And as of today, after the adjustment, that number of vaccine-eligible West Virginians with at least one dose is now at 63%, almost 64%, whereas they thought it was 74%.
Yeah.
And so that's a blow. It's a morale blow. And what I saw, unfortunately, also is it's a blow to people's belief in these numbers, their confidence.
That's the point I was
saw
just
it
going
both
to make.
ways. People saying, I just can't believe anything the government says. And I think that's the real
damage.
It's a shame that we're not doing as well as we thought, but it continues to be damage to people's confidence when they see what the government is saying and the government numbers.
Yeah, that's the thing that cropped into my head right away. Yes, it's bad that we're not 74%, but barely close to 64 now. It's statistically bad, not good for the state, but it really lends credence to those who want to say, I don't believe all this stuff they're telling us. That's the problem. It reinforces those who already are raised eyebrows, suspicious about the numbers they're seeing and the facts they're getting. And say, see, I told you you can't trust these people. That's where the real damage comes from, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, and I saw it right away. Whether it was people who, on the one side, thought, the government's been pumping up these numbers to try to look good, or whether it was people who said, who are vaccine skeptics, who don't believe the CDC or the FDA, saying, look, they just can't get it right on anything. I saw it both ways. If there's any good news, I think it's that the fully vaccinated numbers, and that's people 12 and above in West Virginia or anywhere.
Anywhere.
Those numbers stayed stable. They were 60% of those folks are considered fully vaccinated earlier this week, and that remains the same. So the fully vaccinated, unfortunately, remains flat, but at least it didn't plummet.
I don't know. Maybe Baby Dog can get more of them up. That's a joke because I don't think Baby Dog's getting anybody to get vaccinated. But we're still doing Baby Dog 2, right? Just doesn't seem to be as exciting as Baby Dog 1 was.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. General Hoyer's message on this was, well, look, this just means we got further to go to get people vaccinated, and we got to redouble our efforts. And the governor said pretty much the same thing. And I don't have any great ideas for him, but unfortunately, what I see is the method of persuasion is the same as it's always been: 3 briefings a week, which can be rambling. The message "go get vaccinated" is always in those briefings, but it's with a lot of other stuff. And then the second round of lottery is the other outreach that's happening, and it does seem that the reaction is muted to it. I think when the governor goes out on the road with his dog, is the message the dog or is the message go get vaccinated? I hope there's at least some vaccination method, but
that's a great point. I have realized how many of my friends who are not fans of the governors at all, are really politically opposed to Governor Justice, have said to me, "Do you know when Baby Dog's going to be coming to Texas? Baby Dog going to be around? I would love to go get my picture taken with Baby Dog." If the governor has been looking for a distraction, and I'm not saying that's why he did it, but Baby Dog has become a really good distraction because even his critics are saying, I'd love to get my picture taken with Baby Dog. Baby Dog has become a popular celebrity.
Yeah, Baby Dog is awfully cute, but I guess I wonder, Baby Dog can be an entry point for, all right, I got your attention, and I hope that attention is properly used to try to do this persuasion. Hey, now that I've got you, now that look up from the dog and listen to me for a second.
Yeah,
go get your vaccination.
Yeah, exactly. There's still going to be General Hoyer and others are still kind of reviewing all these numbers to make sure that the number that you and I just were talking about is actually the accurate number, right? There's I don't say there's concern, but I just want to make sure there are no more problems with these numbers out there.
Yeah. If I understood correctly, and it was challenging, what happened was the CDC has a contractor that does this work with the federal pharmaceutical vaccination program. So it's the CDC, and then it's a contractor, and then some of the data goes through trusted figures associated with WVU and associated with the interagency task force that General Jim Hoyer leads. And so there's kind of a, from this to that, that's at work here. But I think, despite yesterday's announcement, I think there are ongoing efforts to try to assure everybody that we're working with those numbers. And if you're a regular person who looks at the dashboard, some of the vaccination subcategories have gone away right now. Like there are age-based categories. How many people above age 65 have gotten vaccinated? And those are missing right now while all this is straightened out. And I think the plan is for it to reappear.
I want to ask you one last question. I had Stephen Adams on earlier this week, and I wanted to ask this, and we ran out of time, so I wanted to ask this question of you. Is there ever any tension in those meetings, in those press conferences between Clay Marsh and the governor? It seems as if Clay Marsh's messaging is subtly different than what the governor's is. It seems as if Clay Marsh is more concerned about the mask mandates and so on than the governor has been. I'm curious whether that is evident in these briefings. Is there some tension between those two that you can tell? Or I know that Clay Marsh tries to be a good soldier and always says, I support the governor, but do you sense any tension there?
I don't know. Frankly, when we participate in the briefings, we don't see any more than the public does of the participants. You can see a bank of your fellow reporters, and it's kind of funny if somebody's eating lunch or whatever. I would agree with you, though, that when I read into Clay Marsh, he is more openly saying that a mask would be an additional good layer of protection, especially right now when COVID is everywhere, and when you're dealing with the Delta variant, which is more highly contagious than the prior incarnations. I hear that as consistent advice from him, like you probably oughta. And I don't hear it in any consistent way at all with the governor. You know, he seems to be expressing doubt about the effectiveness of masks when I hear him more than he's extolling the virtues. Now he'll say, well, I don't think the masks are the end all and the be all, something like that, you know, and he's answering a question that I don't think anybody's posing. The way I take it is the mask can be part of the protection, and then the governor answers this question, well, I don't think masks are the nuclear missile that's going to, you know, bomb this out of existence. And you know, it's just two different levels there. But at the same time, as people have noted, the governor will say, well, I do congratulate the school systems for having mask mandates. So it's like, you know, the folksy thing, like, well, where are you coming from? I'm trying to make logical sense of everything you're saying, and it doesn't add up to me, but I'm really trying.
There is your mistake, Brad. There's your mistake, trying to make logical sense of it. I'm not sure that there's logic behind it.
Yeah, but I mean, to your original point, I do feel like Clay Marsh and the governor are on sort of different levels with their advice, and I feel like Marsh is trying to do his part to get that message to the public, like, all right, do everything you can to stay safe. And I feel like the governor's on a different wavelength, but Marsh is so polite that I don't notice the kind of tension you spoke of in terms of personal interactions. In terms of somewhat different messaging, yes.
All right. I appreciate your time this morning. Most importantly, I appreciate your idea of the drone drop-off for food. I like that a lot. And, I appreciate it. We'll be watching you on Twitter, and that's where somebody asked me a couple of days ago, you know, well, what do you read during the day? How do you get all up to date with the news? I've even stopped going to actual websites. I just follow Twitter, especially for the legislature. Between you and Phil and Stephen, Mark Curtis occasionally, I always get that's how I get my news. So you guys got to be there. And sometimes with you, Brad, a little bit of humor mixed in as well.
Well, we try to keep it light.
All right. Appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much. Go have your breakfast, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, thanks. I hope food falls from the sky.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye. Brad McElhenney, Pro News, this morning, talking about the most important thing. The vaccination numbers that we have been looking at were inflated. Apparently, at the federal level, some screw-ups in the way things were counted. We thought we were 74% vaccinated, and it turns out we're only 64%, a little under that, 64%. So that's, I mean, it's not a terrible number, but it's not what it was before, so there you go. All right, it's a jacket kind of morning. It's only 52. It's only going to go to 60. We'll get the full forecast coming up from our new morning meteorologist, Aaron Myler. He's been around before, but now he's officially our new guy, and he's straight ahead here on the Watchdog Morning Show after we check some headlines in sports.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your local news headlines from 7 News at WTRF, My Ohio Valley, and ABC Ohio Valley. Only on AM 1600 WKKX. The Watchdog.
Good Thursday morning, Ohio Valley. I'm Stephen Ruffing with your 7 News headlines. Answers are beginning to emerge in the death of a Belmont County couple. After hours of speculation, authorities have officially identified the victims. Sheriff Dave Lucas is also ruling it a double homicide. Tom and Angela Strusson were killed in their homes in Belmont on Tuesday morning. The call was originally for a house fire. There is still no cause of death confirmed, but Sheriff Lucas pledges more information soon. Make sure you stay with 7 News as we continue to follow this investigation. Sticking in Belmont County, 53-year-old Greg Carter learns his sentence today. Carter was found guilty last week of 5 counts of felony 1 rape of a child. According to court official, 2 minors were abused. Authorities were first notified about the incidents when a family member close to the victims reported the crime. Moving things to Ohio County, the Wheeling Police Department made a total of 13 arrests yesterday in a special operation. A According to Chief Sean Schwartfeger, officers confiscated a number of illegal drugs and drug material at the Knights Inn, also known as the former Wheeling Inn. They seized everything from cocaine to fentanyl to digital scales and smoking devices. Schwartfeger says he's extremely proud of his officers who dedicated many hours to this operation, as well as the people who made complaints about the situations. That was a look at your headlines. Have a great day, everyone.
Pirates visit the Philadelphia Phillies tonight, game one of a four-game series. Now, rain forced the postponement of Wednesday's game in Cincinnati. That contest was rescheduled for Monday at 1:10 p.m. 5 Pittsburgh Steelers have been nominated to the initial list for Pro Football's Hall of Fame class of 2022. They are Hines Ward, Heath Miller, Casey Hampton, Hardy Nickerson Sr., and Gary Anderson. Let's check out the Pittsburgh Steelers injury list. Ben Roethlisberger is dealing with an injury to his left pectoral.
I don't know how it happened. I just know it happened early in the game, and I'm going to do everything I can.
Meanwhile, Highsmith, Watt, Bush, Hayden, all dealing with groin injuries. Steelers at 1-1 host 1-1 Cincinnati on Sunday. Once again, let's hear from Ben Roethlisberger.
Everyone knows that the strength of their team and the money that they put into it is in their front and their D-line. And so another tough task this week, because once you block those guys or you think you have them blocked, here comes Mike or another or a safety off the other side. So this could be a tough challenge for us.
Meanwhile, former Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown placed on COVID-19 list. He could miss Sunday's game against the Rams. Speaking of football, Thursday night football, 2-0 Carolina will face 1-1 Houston. Today, believe it or not, is the first day of training camp for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Wait a second. Didn't we just watch the Stanley Cup Finals? Hockey? Yep, starts today. Penguins training camp. Believe it or not. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports, and we are the Watchdog.
Hi, it's Hoppy Kercheval inviting you to join me weekdays, 10 till noon for Statewide Talk Line. We talk about the big stories affecting us in West Virginia. We talk with top political figures, sports personalities, and sometimes just us folks talking, all offering our opinions on what's happening today. 10 till noon, right after the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
I'm with Dr. Sharon Parsons, past president of the Ohio Dental Association. Soft teeth run in my family, so going to the dentist won't help, right?
Actually, your family history does not necessarily determine whether you'll get cavities or develop gum disease. Your own behavior can prevent dental disease. By regularly seeing a dentist and brushing twice a day, flossing once a day, and avoiding tobacco products and sugary foods and drinks, you can put yourself on the right path to having healthy teeth and gums for a lifetime.
ODA member dentists are located throughout the state, are dedicated to providing the highest quality care, are bound by the highest ethical standards, and obtain superior ongoing education and training. On your next visit, ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Are you traveling? Working a little bit too much? Is your fur baby starting to get a little shaggy? Let Dirty Paws be your one-stop shop for all of your pet care needs. Stop in and see us at 202 18th Street or give us a call at 304-639-7754 to schedule your appointments for dog grooming, doggy daycare, and dog boarding today.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Friday nights in the fall are reserved for high school football, and the 20-year tradition continues on Metro News. It's Summit Community Bank High School Game Night with Fred Persinger and Dave Jecklin, celebrating 20 years of bringing you up-to-the-minute scores, conference standings, player and coach interviews, and more. Tune in all season long to follow your favorite school. Friday nights from 9:30 to midnight. Summit Community Bank High School Game Night on this Metro News station.
Live and local for the Ohio Valley, the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
I meant to get like some kind of special fanfare or something to welcome Aaron Myler as our new official morning meteorologist here on the Watchdog Morning Show. But I didn't, so I don't know what we can do. We'll that was the fanfare. That was my fanfare. Aaron, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Listen, here's what I want to know. When they called you in and they said, listen, Dr. Dave is leaving, you probably know that, and we're going to make Zach the chief meteorologist, or we're going to rearrange schedules, and you're going to be doing mornings. Did they say to you, unfortunately, you're going to be stuck with Howard? Did they phrase it that way when they said that? Did they say you're going to be stuck with Howard?
No, they actually told me, unfortunately, you're going to be stuck with Steven as the anchor.
I got you. Okay. Okay. Very good. All right. Yeah. Well. Okay. All right. You and I have talked on a number of occasions when you fill in about sleep schedules and how you have to adjust, because sometimes you work an evening schedule, then you're right back at the mornings, and how it's hard to shift. But at least now you get a consistent schedule, right?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm a morning person. I'm that person that wakes up and I'm wide awake right from the get-go. So I'm
good for you.
Yeah, I just got lucky. I love it. I just am very productive in the first half of my day, and then as the day goes along, I get progressively less productive and caring about everything. So mornings work great for me. I'm excited.
So you'll be able to get it's an early pattern, but a consistent sleep pattern now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key, is the consistency. It's still so bright out when I go to bed, so I was putting 2 sets of blackout curtains up yesterday and then duct taping it to my wall so there's no light coming in.
Yeah.
My room faces west, so it's just always bright until the last possible minute.
Yeah. Do you get the mask, the sleep mask, or not?
I did not know. I don't think I usually sleep with my face in the pillow, so I don't think it would really work that well.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Well, anyways, you have to be excited. It's because you've been part-time weather, part-time reporter kind of guy, which I know you enjoy, but weather, I think, is where you want to be, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I did both for a while, and I'm glad I did because I have a degree in both, so I'm glad I got to use the one. But I think the key with weather is if you don't do it every day, it's harder from the standpoint of you don't know what's coming because you haven't looked at it for the past week or so. So I think it's really nice for that. And I also notice whenever I do fill in for people, when I do the weather more than 2 days in a row, I get really consistent and I don't really stumble very much. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, well, you've joined us today. Today is a day of transition. It's a transition day from Zach to you here on the morning show. It's also a day of transition for the weather because, boy, is it fall-like outside right now.
Oh, yeah, I came out of nowhere.
I mean, we're in the low 50s at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport right now, and we're not going to get all that much warmer, right?
Nope, only getting up to maybe 59 or 60 today. So really not warming up too much.
And it's cloudy outside my home studio here. I think it's pretty much cloudy everywhere around the area.
It's cloudy everywhere.
And going to stay that way, right?
Yeah, and then we're going to stay cloudy today, and then we might have a little sprinkle in there, later this morning or in the afternoon. Not much of anything, but is that not a fall day? Cloudy, cold, and a possible sprinkle in there as well?
That's it, yeah.
Sunny tomorrow.
Yeah, that's good. And warm, a little bit warmer tomorrow too, right?
Yeah, getting right back up into basically right at 70 degrees almost there. So it'll be sunny, warm. I think tomorrow's going to be like the fall day that everybody wants because it's going to be no rain, sunny, and then like cooler temperatures, but not as cold as today. So it's going to be a nice in-between.
And we stick around with that kind of weather, or at least with that kind of temperature, for really through the weekend and into the beginning of next week in the 70 or low 70s, right?
Yeah, we're really not getting out of it. We're staying so our average high for this time of year is 73. So we're there on Monday, but Tuesday and Wednesday we're getting into like the mid 70s. So, I mean, I think the big difference I was noticing is just it felt so cold because we've been above average for so long. Because even when we've had the average temperature at 73 degrees, we've been like in the mid to upper 80s for the last like several weeks here. So it's just been really warm, and then now we've gone from like way over our normal temperature to way below the normal temperature. So it's just like very, not shocking, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we haven't been used to it. We've been used to very warm temperatures here, and now but we're actually below normal. Today's going to be below normal, I think. But
yeah, well below normal.
It's going to be a jacket. It's not. Sometimes we say, well, maybe you want to take a jacket. I think today you do want to take a jacket, at least in the morning. In the morning, at least.
For sure. It's going to be cold all day long. I, of course, naturally walked out of my door at 2:30 this morning and did not bring a jacket, but I'm that person would rather suffer. I was I committed to it. We're just going to stick with it and pretend that it's on purpose.
It's not cold for me. It's not cold. I'm just fine.
Pretend it's intentional.
52 at the airport, 54 here at my home studios, 53 at the Robinson Autograph Studios downtown Wheeling, and cloudy in each of those places, at least according to all of the temperature readings that I have. So we have a cool day and cloudy day, a very fall-like day today, a very pleasant fall-like day tomorrow, and a pretty acceptable weekend as well, sunny and 70-ish. So not bad. Just be prepared for a distinctly fall-like day today on the cool side, right?
Correct. Exactly it.
All right. I'm going to talk about, after I let you go, I'm going to talk about the upcoming holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Which is your favorite?
Halloween, by far. The best one.
Yeah, really? What are you
I've already decorated.
You going to dress up as a meteorologist this year?
I need to ask my boss if I'm allowed to do this. I've seen people do it before. They get those green morph suits. Yeah. Get one of those and then put a skeleton on it. So when I go on camera, I'm just a little skeleton.
I like that. I think that would be cool. I think that would be cool. I think that's neat. The good thing about morning meteorologists is you can be a little more playful and loose. At least I can't speak for Brenda or Roger. Don't get me wrong, but the general rule, you can be a little more playful in the morning than you can be when you're, Zach's got to stop being playful. He's the chief now. Oh, one last question before I let you go, because Biff and I were talking about it. Do you have to call him chief now? Like when you see him in the hallway, do you say, good morning, chief?
That's never going to happen, but unless I'm being facetious. This morning he texted me, and he's that person that says, oh, okay, thanks, boss man. And he said that, and I said, yep, better keep calling me that even though you're the chief.
We were wondering, good morning, Chief Zach. Reporting for duty, Chief Zach.
Just to be facetious.
Aaron, good talking to you. I guess we'll be doing it on a regular basis now. It's always fun to chat with you. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
See you then. See you, Howard.
All right, bye-bye. I like that response. You call him Chief? You call him Chief? Yeah, that's never going to happen. All right, 6 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Biffy, I know we were a little late and half-assed, so I have to do a break here.
Just a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be good.
All right, let's do that. Let's take care of some business here at 6 before the hour on the Watchdog Morning Show.
Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Toyotas are known for savings and reliability you can count on. So check out a gas model RAV4. a spacious Highlander, or even an all-wheel drive hybrid Venza, all with $500 cash back. Visit buyatoyota.com for more great deals. You can take cash back or apply toward down payment. Offers may vary for hybrid models. See your dealer for details. Offers end October 4th. Toyota. Let's go places.
Hey man, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I have 2 Coors Lights?
You got it.
Hey, Mike! I need 2 Coors Lights!
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
This guy knows so much about sports. They based the Sports Almanac from Back to the Future off of his dream journal. He's Bill DeFabio, weekdays noon to 2, on the Valley's only network dedicated to live and local talk radio, The Watchdog.
Watch out! He could climb on his soapbox at any time. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
Yeah, good news is I don't really see any soapbox issues coming up during the next couple of hours. Now, don't get me wrong, they could occur. Next hour, we're going to talk a little bit about some money matters. We're going to talk about some of the changes in stores and how stores that I grew up with are going away and new stores are being created. We'll talk about all of that. And who are the poor and who are the rich in America today? Got some numbers on that we'll talk about coming up. 38 days, Bippy, 38 days until All Hallows Eve. Halloween comes in 38 days. And I got one of my infamous surveys here, a big Halloween survey. 82% of the people surveyed say they will celebrate Halloween in one way or another. Will you do something for Halloween, Bippy? I suppose you don't dress up, but will you,
No, no.
do something?
No, I hate Halloween.
Okay.
I do. I hate it. The least favorite season for me.
Really?
I can't stand it. I haven't liked it since I was little. I just never liked it.
Don't like the dressing up, or don't like people knocking on your door, don't like giving out candy, just don't like vampires and witches? What don't you like?
Probably the fact that you got to dress up just to get food. I think is what did it for me, and just all the walking around and everything. So I've never liked it. I usually sent the other two out and said, "Hey, go get me candy. You know what I like. Bring it back."
Okay, all right. I've always enjoyed Halloween. I like the idea of dressing up. It was always kind of fun. It usually was a day of the year where I had a little more freedom when I was, young. I mean, early, when I was real young, parents would go with me, but it came a point where they'd let us go on our own, through our own neighborhood. It was a simpler time, of course, back then. But I always enjoyed it. I had a great fun. I know I've alluded to this story before. My parents were not particularly happy with the one night that I went out Halloweening and came home wearing one of the girls in the neighborhood's costume. They weren't real happy. They weren't real happy with that. So 38 days till All Hallows Eve, and I've got some Halloween little facts, figures, trivia, tidbits to share with you coming up in the next hour of the show. Also, Chief Schwartzberger is going to join us from Wheeling's Police Department to talk about this big operation at Night's End they had. Right now, though, we'll check in with ABC. They cover the world.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Pfizer booster shots, bringing the U.S. one step closer to authorizing a third dose for millions of Americans. The eligible group is expected to include people 65 and older, those at high risk of severe illness, healthcare workers, and other frontline employees like teachers, daycare staff, grocery workers, and people in homeless shelters and prisons. But it's not an official go yet. Today, a CDC advisory panel will meet for a second day to consider more specific guidance, and those third shots will likely be available by the end of the week.
In the border town of Del Rio, Texas, Homeland Security officials say more than 1,400 Haitian migrants have been flown back to their home country, another 3,200 in custody and waiting to be deported or processed. ABC's Kenneth Moten says another 5,000 migrants remain camped under a bridge and hundreds more have crossed back into Mexico.
Mexico feeling that strain, but right now that country is not deporting those migrants, instead allowing them to get their paperwork together to seek asylum there. Meanwhile, DHS says those mass deportation flights from the U.S. to Haiti will continue.
The search for Gabby Petito's fiance